Good evening, friends. Welcome to the Spooky Podcast. Today we have a friend named Lai here. He's a practitioner of traditional Chinese medicine. He should be. It says Lis, traditional Chinese medicine on it, so I think his last name should be Li. So what did Brother Lai write? I'll tell you what he wrote, but one thing I can be sure of, the story Brother Lai told happened to his father. He should be quite old. He should be older than us, because he said this happened in 1997. It seems in 1997, his father was still in the countryside. At that time, he was still quite young. He should still be a young man. So this is all my assumption. I don't know if my judgment is right. Also, he has another story. I'll tell you about it later. Well, then I'll start telling the real story. As for Brother Lis's story, don't mind that the address isn't clear, but the story is very clear. What's the story about? It's about Brother Lis's father when he was young. He said it was 1997. At that time, he said our whole family still lived in the countryside. My dad was still very young then. And my dad often walked at night, because he seemed to be in charge of some township matters. He often traveled between several villages and towns. Although he didn't necessarily have to do activities at night, but he couldn't help it. Wherever his dad went, people would keep him for a drink and a meal. That was the custom back then. But then, in some places, some villages were very close to his own village, so there was no way for him to stay, right? And he felt that after drinking and eating, he would often go home. As a result, at that time, he said his dad often pushed a bike, because he said there were mountains in our area, and you couldn't ride it everywhere. It's not that you can ride wherever you want. It's not. That is to say, some people rode bicycles, but most of the time they were pushed. But at that time, it seemed that this bicycle seemed to be something that was a status symbol. Of course, this is a possibility. I am just guessing all this. Anyway, wherever his dad went, he pushed this bike. He could definitely ride it and use it to get around. And then he often traveled through the countryside. And he often traveled at night. But Brother Lis's father was bold since he was young, that he was famous in the village. It seemed when he was a teenager, he was different from other kids. He wasn't afraid of the dark. He probably grew up in the mountains since he was a child. He didn't take some of the things we care about seriously. For example, we are afraid of the dark, or we are afraid of seeing some green flames at night. I don't listen to me talking so mystically. In the mountains, you often see at midnight dirty things and dead people buried in the mountains. Seeing a blue-green flame is normal, but for Lis's father, it was like an ordinary thing. He didn't care at all. Some locals even avoided those places, because those mountains are full of graves, and mass graves, but Lis's father never cared. He never avoided them, no matter how late it was. He knew that he shouldn't go through that forest. There were even rumors saying it was haunted, but his father never thought about it. Then one night, something happened that night. It changed his father's whole life, his view on these things. From then on, Li the Bold was gone. Even though he was still quite brave, he wasn't as bold as before. What happened that day? That night, this father had been drinking until after 9 p.m. He was in another village, and this village was very close to theirs. But this village and theirs had a necessary shortcut. This shortcut was a mass grave. It's not one of those designated graveyards. No, it's a mass grave, because between many villages, or where multiple villages meet, there are these kinds of mass graves. As for why these mass graves appear, I'll give you a simple explanation, because in the countryside, there are rules. For example, an unmarried girl or a child who died before adulthood can't be buried in the ancestral grave. They have to be thrown into these mass graves. So, as long as you're near a village. Nowadays, it might not be the case, but before, many places were mass graves. And locally, there are stories that say, don't ever go there at night. The locals weren't just trying to scare people. Things always happen there. But don't forget who we're talking about. Lee's father, Lee the Bold. He didn't care about this stuff. So that night, he was drinking until after 9 p.m. He didn't drink too much. But to take a shortcut, he insisted on taking this small path. This path went directly between that village and theirs, but it was a mass grave. And you're on a small path. So just go, right? Even if it's uphill, you can't ride. You have to push the bike forward. Just walk faster. But List's father was so tough. When he got near the mass grave, it wasn't like he had to stop there. He just didn't think about it. He didn't give it any thought. He stopped the bike on the side. He must have been drinking, and he was tired, so he wanted to smoke some tobacco. Smoking tobacco, people now might not understand, because now people smoke cigarettes. In the past, you had to stop to smoke, because you had to use a pipe. Or a bamboo tube in the south. People up north used pipes. You definitely can't roll a cigarette while walking. And the tobacco people used to use was very strong. You've never heard of someone walking and smoking at the same time. That's just not realistic. So, List's dad found a spot like this. The spot was very clean and flat. He found a rock, sat on it. He parked his bicycle to the side. Then he started rolling a cigarette there. After messing with the cigarette for a while, his dad was ready to light it. They all used matches back then. But as soon as he took out the match, and it had just lit, List's dad heard someone calling him from behind. And the voice suddenly appeared. Hey, oh, you've lit a fire. Let me use it. Oh, I am telling you, this is something, no matter how brave you are, you couldn't handle it. In the middle of the night, in a dark, deserted place, even if it's in front of your house, you couldn't withstand it when a voice like this comes, right? And it scared his dad so much he jumped to his feet. And after he stood up, the fire in List's dad's hand went out. It just went out. After it went out, he looked and saw a very short person, probably a local old man about 1.5 meters tall, standing in front of List's dad. And as he spoke, he was speaking their local dialect. And the dialect spoken in the villages near List's place. Even though they're close, the accents are different. A local could tell right away which village he was from. List's dad said, I could tell right away, this old man is from our village. But there weren't many households in their village, and List's dad didn't know him. But at this moment, who would dare to ask, Oh, sir, are you from our village? You speak the same as me. Where are you from? Would you dare to ask? No one would dare to ask. Then this old man was still insisting on borrowing the fire. He saw that List's dad had put out the fire. The old man immediately said, Can you light it again? What is this thing you're holding? Oh, when the old man said that, it got even worse. The old man didn't even know what a yangwo was. He didn't know what matches were. List's dad immediately understood what was going on. But he was in a difficult situation. What could he do? Turn around and run? No way. I am telling you, if you really encounter this, there are two possibilities. One is that you faint from fear. The other is you do whatever he tells you to do. Turn around and run? It's not impossible. But such people are rare. Really rare. If you don't believe me, you'll know if you ever encounter it. Of course, I hope you never encounter it. This is not a good thing. So List's dad was already scared when he heard this. At this moment, the old man's expression showed he wanted to borrow the fire. So there was no way List's dad could explain to him, This thing I have is a match. It lights up with one strike. Do you want to live? That's not something you should say. So he just took out the match again. Whoosh. He lit another one. One match. This old man was holding something. You couldn't see it. Or what was it? Brother List's father actually saw it. He couldn't face it. What do you mean he couldn't face it? Because he said, I didn't see anything in the old man's hand. But he was obviously holding his fingers. Ah, maybe he did have something. Brotherless father didn't see it, but it looked like there was nothing. But he was holding his fingers. He just brushed them against the match I lit. And his hand caught fire. It was like his hand just had a flame on it. And the old man was really happy and laughed. Also, when the light from the fire shone on his face, his dad said the old man's face was ashen. But he was very happy. It's lit. Thank you. What is this stuff that catches fire so easily? After saying that, the old man left. But when the old man took a step back, brotherless father couldn't handle it. Why couldn't he handle it? First, his hand was on fire. That was already terrifying. Second, this old man wouldn't turn around. He wouldn't turn around and walk into the depths of the forest. No, he walked backward. Oh my God, at that moment, the hair on brotherless father's head stood up. Even the bravest person couldn't handle this. He couldn't hold on anymore. And the old man did take several steps backward. Then brotherless dad pushed the cart and ran. But Lee the Brave also lived up to his name. To be honest, most people would have just run off. I am going crazy. I don't care about my life. I have to run back. But after his dad ran a distance, he still looked back from far away. He could even see the flame. But he couldn't see the old man clearly. He could see the flame from a long way off. The one he had just lit for him. Then what did brotherless dad do next? He picked up a stone and threw it. But that throw was a mistake. When he threw it, the flame suddenly got brighter. It was noticeably brighter than before. But at that moment, brotherless dad saw again that the old man was still walking backward into the woods. I'll say it again. He wouldn't turn around. He was walking backward. This time, he really couldn't take it anymore. Brotherless father turned around, and, like we just said, he ran straight back to the village. He didn't get sick when he got back to the village, but he wasn't feeling well the next day. He was scared, so he told his family about it. That is, brotherless grandparents. His grandparents believed in that stuff. They immediately found someone to ask about it for him. After they asked, the person said it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a misunderstanding. The other person wasn't after him. It seemed like they just wanted to borrow a light. We don't know why he borrowed luck. But you have to go back and tell your son that his luck has gone down now. To put it bluntly, his aura is not working. I don't take that risk again. Don't walk at night anymore. At least stick to this for 3 months. Normally, I'd say, Grandpa and Grandma talked to Liz's dad. His dad would definitely not listen. He wouldn't listen to anyone. But this time, Grandpa and Grandma just said a few things. Hey, guess what? Liz's dad actually listened. For 2 or 3 months, he didn't dare go out at night. All right, my friends. That's the end of our first story. Welcome to continue listening to Supernatural Radio. I'll tell you the second one right away. It gets more exciting later on. The next story was submitted by an anonymous netizen. He said the story involves a friend of his, so he doesn't want his friend to hear it, but he also felt that this matter was too creepy. He couldn't help but share it with us. This listener of ours is from the North China region. The story he tells us happened in their city to one of his colleagues. The listener's story happened many years ago. About 30 years ago, he had a colleague he had a good relationship with. This person was pretty normal. But the only thing he knew was that she had a husband. Her husband was a bit, as a northerner would say, he was unreliable. I don't know if you understand or not. This guy really liked to mess around. He loved to brag and drink. He'd mess around with a bunch of friends at the entrance. However, this guy didn't bother anyone else, except for his wife, who had a big problem with him. He hadn't done anything too out of line. But this colleague of his was a very nice person. This woman was very capable, simple, and honest, and spoke very gently. So the two of them, little by little, became the best of friends. Other than that, there was nothing special about her. She was just an ordinary, unremarkable person. But after they had been colleagues for more than 10 years, one day, all of a sudden, this woman came to the person who submitted the story and said, "Something bad happened. Our child has had a fever for 3 or 4 days. I am taking her to the hospital to see a doctor. The doctor said the child seems to have some strange disease. They're still doing tests. I am so worried." This was the first time he knew that the woman's child was in trouble. He was very worried for her. But 3 days later, the bad news came. The female colleague's son did get a strange disease. It was so strange that in the history of the country, there have only been 2,000 cases since the founding of the PRC. And this disease is not an ordinary one. It's fatal. I can't tell you the details, but it's said that if you get this disease, you don't live long. As a result, their family fell into an abyss from that point on. The couple basically couldn't live at home anymore. Every day they would study their son's illness. But the illness was very serious. After more than 3 months, the child died. According to him, before he died, he was coughing up blood all night. It broke their hearts. But they couldn't do anything. They couldn't help their child. So this was the only outcome. They watched their child pass away. After the child passed, the couple held the funeral. Nothing happened after the funeral. When he came back to work, his colleagues thought they were ready. They had to show him a lot of care, right? How would a person feel after losing their son? But everyone found him to be very strong. He was laughing and talking. It was like nothing had happened. At that time, someone at the factory said this was bad. Something bad is going to happen. This is the scariest part. It's better if she just cried loudly. And sure enough, less than a month after returning to work, one day she suddenly couldn't go to work anymore because the lady who provided the story, she and the woman were best friends. Her boss wanted her to go and check on her to see what happened. When she arrived at their house, she found out the woman had gone crazy. And she was seriously ill. It was so bad that everyone in the building complained to the neighborhood committee. Things progressed step by step. But since this is a show, I can't tell you the whole story from the beginning. So I'll give you a summary. I'll try to summarize the rambling parts as much as possible. First, after the woman went crazy, it was divided into 3 stages. The first stage was when she first got sick. She was talking nonsense. She would babble and mutter in the hallway. The neighbors couldn't understand what she was saying. She even attacked children. She would talk to children. This made the neighbors afraid of her. And this matter was reported to the neighborhood committee in the first stage. But a lot of things happened in the first stage, and it took a long time, at least half a year. But these things that happened were trivial, so I'll skip them. There was nothing too scary. And at that time, during the first stage, the lady who provided the story, she was still taking care of her. She would often go and check on her. Although she was speaking incoherently, you couldn't communicate with her. But after so many years of friendship, this lady couldn't abandon her. But after she had been crazy for half a year, the woman entered the second stage, and Our Lady started to get scared. To be blunt, she didn't dare to get involved anymore. And then there's the third stage. I'll tell you about it later. It's not about not daring to get involved anymore. Our Lady didn't even dare to look at her. It got even worse. So let me first tell you about the second stage. What symptoms did she have? After the woman had been sick for half a year, The neighbors' opinions of her were very bad. They hated her. They didn't want her to live there anymore. But you can't control other people. It's her house, right? Then gradually, she started to talk in the hallway, even though she was already bothering people a lot. The things she says are especially frightening. She asks what the kid eats and drinks, what medicine to buy, and she takes her kid to school every day. Can you understand? She thinks her kid is still alive. And she even asks the teacher about his grades. What do you think the teachers at the school can do? They have to go along with it. Think about how much she's affecting other people. Think about how much she's affecting other people. You can understand her pain. But from other people's perspective, they can't suffer just because your son died, right? But her influence in the second phase is very serious. So after the second phase, our big sister felt very bad. You can't not go see her. Old coworker, old friend. She's sometimes mentally normal. But if you do go to see her, her constant state is a little scary. And our big sister's family, her husband wasn't happy. Don't go see her. She's like that already. You're crazy for still gonna see her, talking about her all the time. So our big sister started to waver. But the second phase passed quickly. Unlike the first phase, which lasted over half a year, the second phase only lasted about a month. Now we're going to enter the third phase. This third phase of hers caused problems. So next I'll tell you how she entered this third phase. From the first phase, affecting neighbors, to the second phase, making everyone scared, until the third phase where something real happened. How did it happen? The story of the third phase begins on the first night. One night. There's a little girl in their building. Let's give this little girl a fake name. Well, call her Xiaofang. Xiaofang is in 4th grade, and their son, who passed away. They knew each other. They were good friends. When the incident happened that night, it was Xiaofang at a little after 8. She was holding a trash bag to throw out some dirt. Her grandpa told her to go. The little girl went with the bag. But as soon as she opened the door, on the 2.5 floor of her building, before she got to the turn on the 1st floor, Xiaofang saw a boy standing there. And the boy's figure. Xiaofang recognized him right away. Isn't that de Mingming? She usually called him Mingej. He was the son of that woman who died a few days ago. But Xiaofang wasn't very scared. First, because she's a kid and doesn't know any better. Second, the boy didn't look scary. He looked the same as when he was alive, just standing next to the dirt container. But even though she wasn't scared, she was. Xiaofang froze in her tracks. Ah, Mingming, Minggeyu. You're not. And Xiaofang only got half the words out. Then Mingming, who was standing in the corner, spoke. Is that you, Fang Fang? Are you Fang Fang? Fang? I can't see anything. I'll get my sight back at 11 o'clock. Then I'll be able to see the road. My mom has to lead me every day to go out. But I just snuck out to play by myself. I can't get up the stairs. I can't get home. Can you take me up to the 5th floor? Xiaofang got really nervous. I can. But she was terrified inside. But because the two of them knew each other before, Xiaofang still had to go first. And Mingming was following behind. Xiaofang took her all the way to the 5th floor, but when they got to the middle of the 4th floor, they hadn't reached the 5th floor yet. Xiaofang's grandpa opened the door. Her grandpa saw his granddaughter and asked what she was doing, throwing things away. He just stood in the hallway and yelled, Fang, Fang. Where did the child go? The hallway amplified the sound. They could hear it clearly upstairs. When Xiaofang heard her grandpa came out, she suddenly didn't know what was happening. She was scared. The mentality of a child. I can't explain it to you. I don't get it either. Anyway, she was quite strong, but when she heard her grandpa's voice, the child just couldn't hold it in anymore. Right there on the stairs. She sat on the stairs and couldn't move, and started crying loudly. As a result of this crying, her grandpa heard it. Oh no. What's wrong, Fafa? Then he started running up the stairs. At the same time, because of the loud noise, people came out from the 4th floor too. When they came out, they knew it was Xiaofang. What's wrong? It was an old lady who opened the door. When she opened the door, the old lady stood there and was stunned. She saw Xiaofang sitting on the stairs crying, and a dark shadow standing behind her. She recognized the shadow. It was Mingming. The old lady opened the door halfway and held the door while staring. These two people were terrified, but don't forget, in a few seconds, her grandpa ran up. Xiaofang's grandpa wasn't that old. He was about 60 years old. After he rushed up, did grandpa see it? He saw it too, and he recognized it was Mingming. But he was anxious about his granddaughter. He couldn't care about anything else. Grandpa started yelling on the stairs. Mingming. It's Mingming. Our Fang Fang, you're really something, child. We have no grudge against each other. Can you let him come over?